The social worker was sitting in my living room, writing notes about what kind of mother I was, when my mother-in-law handed me a cup of tea. The same tea she'd been giving me for 6 months. The same tea that was slowly killing me. But this time, I didn't drink it. I switched our cups when she wasn't looking. And what happened next proved everything I'd been suspecting. Everything my husband refused to believe. Everything that almost cost me my children. Let me start from the beginning. My name is Rachel. I'm 34 years old, married to my husband Derek for 9 years, and we have 2 kids. Emma is 7 and Lucas is 5. They're my whole world. Everything I do, every decision I make, it's all for them. My mother-in-law, Diane, seemed nice enough when I first met her. A little controlling, maybe. A little too involved in Derek's life for a grown man. But I figured that's just how some mothers are with their sons, right? Protective. Caring. Maybe a bit much, but harmless. I was so wrong. Diane never thought I was good enough for her son. She made that clear from day one. At our wedding, she wore white. White. She told people I trapped Derek by getting pregnant, which wasn't even true. We weren't pregnant until 2 years after we got married. She constantly gave me parenting advice I didn't ask for. Criticized how I dressed the kids, what I fed them, how I disciplined them. But Derek always defended her. That's just how she is, he'd say. She means well. She loves the kids. Yeah, she loved the kids. That part was true. She loved them so much she wanted them for herself. It started about 8 months ago. Diane began coming over more often. At first, it was once a week. Then twice. Then she was showing up almost every day, always with some excuse. She brought groceries. She wanted to help with laundry. She missed the kids. She was just in the neighborhood. Derek thought it was great. Free babysitting. Help around the house. His mom being involved with the grandkids. I thought it was suffocating. But I kept my mouth shut because every time I complained, Derek accused me of being ungrateful. Of not appreciating his mother's help. Of being jealous of their relationship. So I smiled. I said thank you. I let her into my home nearly every single day. That's when she started making me tea. You look tired, dear, she'd say. Let me make you some tea. It's a special blend. Very calming. Helps with stress. And I was tired. Exhausted, actually. I have 2 young kids, a part-time job as a graphic designer, a house to maintain. Of course I was tired. So yeah, the tea sounded nice. It tasted weird. Kind of bitter, even with honey. But Diane said that was normal for herbal tea. That the beneficial herbs always tasted a bit strong. That I'd get used to it. I drank it to be polite. To keep the peace. Within 30 minutes of drinking it, I'd feel strange. Dizzy. Nauseous. Foggy. Like my brain was wrapped in cotton. I'd have to sit down. Sometimes I'd lie on the couch. And Diane would take over with the kids. You rest, dear. I'll handle things. You're clearly not feeling well. At first, I thought I was just tired. Run down. Maybe coming down with something. But it happened every single time she made me that tea. Every single time. After about a month of this, my symptoms got worse. I wasn't just tired and dizzy anymore. I was having trouble concentrating. I'd forget things. Important things. Like picking Emma up from school. I was 15 minutes late one day, and Emma was crying in the office with the principal. I felt horrible. What kind of mother forgets her own kid? Diane was there within minutes of Derek calling her. I was worried this would happen, she said, though I don't remember anyone asking her opinion. Rachel's been so scattered lately. So forgetful. I started having tremors in my hands. Headaches that lasted for days. I'd wake up in the middle of the night with my heart racing, covered in sweat. I went to the doctor 3 times. They ran tests. Everything came back normal. Anxiety, they said. Stress. Possibly depression. Are you getting enough sleep? Eating well? Maybe you need to talk to someone. They prescribed anti-anxiety medication. Which I took. Which made everything worse, because now I was on actual medication on top of whatever was already wrong with me. While I was falling apart, Diane was stepping up. She was at the house every day now. Making the kids breakfast. Taking them to school. Picking them up. Helping with homework. Making dinner. Being the perfect grandmother. the perfect mother figure. And always, always making me that tea. You need to drink this, Rachel. It'll help. You're not taking care of yourself. I noticed she never drank it herself. When I asked her about it once, she said she had her own tea. A different blend. This one was specifically for stress and fatigue. Just for me. Derek started making comments. Maybe you should take a break from work. You're clearly overwhelmed. Mom's offered to help more. Maybe we should take her up on it. I'm fine, I'd insist. But I wasn't fine. I was getting worse. I started dropping things. I burned dinner twice in 1 week. I snapped at the kids over nothing. I cried randomly for no reason. I looked in the mirror one day and didn't recognize myself. I'd lost weight. My skin was pale. I had dark circles under my eyes that makeup couldn't cover. I looked sick. I felt sick. And through it all, Diane was there. Watching. Helping. Making that damn tea. The real turning point came 3 months ago. I was giving Lucas a bath when I just collapsed. 1 minute I was fine, the next I was on the bathroom floor. Lucas was screaming. Water was going everywhere. Derek found us. Called 911. I spent the night in the hospital. The doctors said it was dehydration and exhaustion. That I needed to rest. Reduce stress. Take better care of myself. But here's the thing. While I was in the hospital, Diane stayed at our house with the kids. And I felt better. Significantly better. Within 24 hours, my head was clearer than it had been in months. The tremors stopped. The nausea faded. I mentioned this to the doctor. He said it was because I was finally resting. Getting 4 fluids. Away from my stressors. Maybe. But I started thinking. When was the last time I felt this good? When was the last time my head wasn't foggy? And I realized it was before Diane started making me that tea. I know how crazy it sounds. Your mother-in-law poisoning you? That's something from a bad TV movie. That doesn't happen in real life. But I couldn't shake the feeling. The timing was too perfect. The symptoms too consistent. And the way Diane was always there, always ready to step in, always making herself indispensable to my children. I started paying attention. Real attention. I noticed that Diane always made the tea herself. She brought her own tea bags from home. She never let me see the box. She'd steep it in the kitchen, alone, and bring it to me already prepared. I noticed that she always watched me drink it. Waited until I'd finished at least half the cup before she'd leave. I noticed that my worst symptoms always happened within an hour of drinking her tea. And I noticed something else. She'd been taking photos. Lots of photos. Of me looking sick. Of me lying on the couch while she played with the kids. Of her cooking dinner, helping with homework, putting them to bed. Building a record. Evidence. Of what exactly? I started researching. Late at night, when Derek was asleep, I'd look up symptoms. Poisoning. Slow poisoning. Substances that could make someone sick without killing them. There were a lot of options. Way more than I ever wanted to know about. Arsenic. Small doses over time. Causes fatigue, nausea, confusion, tremors. But it shows up in blood tests and mine were clean. Antifreeze. Causes similar symptoms. Also shows up in tests. Then I found something interesting. Certain plants. Herbs. All natural, so they wouldn't show up on standard toxicology screens. Things like foxglove, hemlock, lily of the valley. In small amounts, they'd make you sick. Dizzy. Confused. Weak. Exactly what I was experiencing. And they could be disguised easily. In tea, for example. Mixed with other strong-tasting herbs to mask the bitterness. I felt sick reading about it. Because it all fit. Everything fit. My mother-in-law was poisoning me. I told Derek. Of course I told Derek. He's my husband. The father of my children. He needed to know. He looked at me like I'd lost my mind. You think my mother is poisoning you? Are you hearing yourself right now? I know how it sounds, but Derek, listen to me. The timing, the symptoms, it all lines up. You're paranoid. The doctors said it's anxiety and stress. You're making up conspiracies because you've never liked my mother. That's not true. I'm telling you, something is wrong with that tea. It's TA, Rachel. Herbal tea. My mother is trying to help you and you're accusing her of attempted murder. I didn't say murder. I said, Stop. Just stop. He ran his hands through his hair, looking at me with something like pity. Or disgust. I couldn't tell. You need help. Real help. This paranoia, these accusations, it's not normal. It's not healthy. He called his mother. Right there in front of me. Told her what I'd said. I could hear her crying through the phone. I'm only trying to help. I love Rachel. I love those children. How could she think such horrible things about me? Derek apologized to her. Apologized for me. Promised her I didn't mean it. That I was just stressed and not thinking clearly. And I knew I was alone in this. I stopped drinking the tea. Told Diane I was cutting back on caffeine, even though her tea didn't have caffeine. She frowned but didn't push it. Within a week, I felt better. Within 2 weeks, I felt like myself again. The brain fog lifted. The tremors stopped. The headaches faded. I had energy again. I thought it was over. I thought if I just didn't drink the tea, I'd be safe. We could all move on. I was wrong. Because Diane wasn't trying to kill me. She was trying to prove I was an unfit mother. And she'd already set the next phase in motion. The knock came on a Tuesday afternoon. 2 social workers from Child Protective Services. They'd received a report. An anonymous report. Concerns about the children's welfare. I felt my blood turn to ice. They asked to come in. Asked to see the kids. Asked about their routine, their meals, their school attendance. They looked through the fridge. Checked the kids' rooms. Asked Emma and Lucas questions privately. There's been a report that you frequently neglect the children, one social worker said. Her name tag read Jennifer. That you're often too impaired to care for them properly. That your mother-in-law has had to step in repeatedly to ensure their safety. That's not true, I said. My voice was shaking. I've been sick, yes, but I've never neglected my kids. Never. There are photographs. You lying down while the children are left to their own devices. You forgetting to pick your daughter up from school. A hospital visit for exhaustion and dehydration, which can indicate drug or alcohol abuse. I don't drink. I don't do drugs. I've been ill, there's a difference. But I could see it in their eyes. They'd already made up their minds. Someone had painted a very specific picture of me. Someone who had evidence. Photos. Dates. Times. Someone who'd been planning this for months. After they left, I sat on my couch and cried. Not because I was sad. Because I was angry. Furious. The pieces were all falling into place now. Diane wasn't trying to kill me. She was smarter than that. She was making me sick. Making me look incompetent. Unstable. Building a case against me as a mother. All those photos she'd been taking? Evidence for CPS. The tea that made me foggy and forgetful? So I'd actually mess up. Actually forget things. Actually look like a bad mother. The constant presence in our home? So she could document every mistake I made while poisoned. She was trying to get my children. To prove I was unfit. To get custody, or at least primary care. To push me out and step in as the mother figure. And she'd almost succeeded. I needed proof. Real, solid, undeniable proof. Something that would make Derek believe me. Something that would clear my name with CPS. I had one chance. One opportunity to catch her. The follow-up CPS visit was scheduled for the following week. And I knew Diane would be there. She'd made sure of it. I spent the next week preparing. I ordered a home drug testing kit online. The kind that could test liquids for various substances. I researched what to look for. How to document everything properly. And I waited. Sure enough, the day before the CPS visit, Diane called. She wanted to come over. To support me during this difficult time. To make sure everything looked good for the social workers. To make sure I looked bad, more like. That would be great, I told her. My voice was sweet. Grateful. Thank you so much for being here for us. I could practically hear her smile through the phone. The morning of the visit, Diane showed up early. She'd brought flowers for the coffee table. Cookies she'd baked for the social workers. And her specialty. You must be so stressed, dear. Let me make you some tea. It'll calm your nerves. That's so thoughtful, I said. Thank you. I watched her in the kitchen. Watched her pull out her specialty bags from her purse. Watched her steep 1 cup. Only 1 cup. Just for me. She brought it to me in the living room. Set it on the coaster on the coffee table. Drink up, she said. You'll feel better. I will, I promised. In just a minute. Let me just finish straightening up. Jennifer arrived with a colleague. A man named Thomas. They both looked serious. Professional. Ready to assess whether my children were safe in my care. Diane greeted them warmly. Played the concerned grandmother perfectly. I'm so glad you're here, she told them. I've been so worried about Rachel. About the children. I try to help as much as I can, but I'm only one person. She gestured to the tea on the table. I even brought her some calming tea. She gets so anxious. So overwhelmed. The social workers made notes. I could see them adding this to their mental list. Mother requires management from grandmother. Can't handle stress without intervention. Rachel, why don't you drink your tea? Diane said sweetly. You haven't touched it. All eyes turned to me. To the cup of tea sitting on my coffee table. This was it. This was my moment. I picked up the cup. Brought it toward my lips. Saw Diane watching me with those sharp eyes. And then I stopped. Actually, Diane, would you like this cup? I just remembered I need to make a different kind. My doctor said I should avoid certain herbs. Here, you take this one. Let me make a fresh pot. I held the cup out to her. Watched the color drain from her face. Oh no, that's okay. That's your tea. I have my own. I insist. I stood up, walked over to her, placed the cup in her hands. You've been so good to me. So supportive. The least I can do is share. She held the cup like it was a live bomb. I'm really not thirsty. Just a sip, I pressed. To humor me. You always tell me how calming it is. How beneficial. Surely you could use some calm too, with all the stress you've been under, helping our family. The social workers were watching this exchange with interest. They could feel the tension in the room. The undercurrent of something not quite right. Diane, I said softly. If the tea is safe, why won't you drink it? She looked at the cup. At me. At the social workers. I told you, I have my own blend. Then what's in this one? I asked. What exactly have you been giving me for the past 6 months? Diane's hands started shaking. The cup rattled in its saucer. Rachel, you're being ridiculous. It's just tea. Herbal tea. You're being paranoid again, just like. Then drink it. I don't want. Drink it. My voice was hard now. Loud. I didn't care anymore about being polite. About keeping the peace. If it's just harmless herbal tea like you claim, then drink it. Right now. In front of everyone. She set the cup down on the side table. Her face was pale. I don't have to prove anything to you. No, Jennifer said, standing up. But this is concerning. Mrs. Stewart, what exactly is in that tea? Nothing. Just herbs. Natural things. Things that help with anxiety and stress. What kinds of herbs? Thomas asked. Diane's mouth opened and closed. No words came out. I picked up the cup. I'm going to have this tested. Right now. I have a home testing kit in the kitchen. We can all wait here while I find out exactly what's been making me sick for 6 months. You can't do that, Diane said quickly. Too quickly. That's my property. My tea. You can't just test it without my permission. Actually, Jennifer said slowly, given the circumstances, I think that's a very good idea. Mrs. Stewart, if there's nothing harmful in the tea, you have nothing to worry about. I walked to the kitchen. My heart was pounding so hard I thought it might break through my chest. I pulled out the testing kit I'd hidden under the sink. Read the instructions again even though I'd memorized them. The kit could test for common toxins, heavy metals, and certain plant alkaloids. It wasn't perfect, but it would show if something dangerous was present. I dipped the test strips into the tea. Waited the required 3 minutes. Watched the strips change color. And there it was. Positive for cardiac glycosides. The kind found in foxglove and lily of the valley. Plants that, in small doses, cause exactly the symptoms I'd been experiencing. Dizziness. Confusion. Nausea. Tremors. Heart palpitations. In larger doses, they could kill you. But in carefully measured small doses, administered over time, they'd just make you seem unstable. Incompetent. Unfit. I brought the test strips back to the living room. Showed them to the social workers. Cardiac glycosides, I said. Toxic plant compounds. That's what she's been giving me. That's why I've been sick. Why I forgot to pick up Emma that day. Why I collapsed. Why I seemed like I couldn't handle being a mother. Jennifer took the test strips. Examined them. Looked at Diane. Mrs. Stewart, I'm going to need you to explain this. Diane's face crumpled. For a moment, I thought she might actually confess. Apologize. Show some kind of remorse. Instead, she started crying. I was trying to help. Rachel is so stressed, so anxious. I read that certain herbs could help. I didn't know they'd make her sick. I was just trying to be a good mother-in-law. A good grandmother. You called CPS on me, I said flatly. You reported me as a neglectful mother. After spending months poisoning me to make me look incompetent. I was worried about the children. You were getting so bad, so unreliable. Someone had to protect Emma and Lucas. From their own mother? The mother you were systematically drugging. They deserve better. Diane screamed. The mask finally cracked. The sweet grandmother act shattered completely. Derek deserves better. Those children deserve a mother who can actually take care of them. Not some weak little girl who can barely keep her own life together. I was fine until you started poisoning me. You were never good enough for my son. Never. I knew it from the moment he brought you home. You trapped him with those kids. Took him away from me. Made him into someone I barely recognize. The social workers were staring at her. Thomas had his phone out recording. Mrs. Stewart, Jennifer said carefully, are you admitting that you deliberately gave your daughter-in-law toxic substances with the intent to make her appear unfit? Diane seemed to realize what she'd said. What she'd admitted. She clamped her mouth shut. But it was too late. We'd all heard it. Thomas had it on video. The police came. Took statements. Took the tea, the test strips, the cup. Took Diane's purse where she kept her special tea bags. Took photos of everything. Diane was arrested. Charged with poisoning, filing a false CPS report, and attempted custodial interference. The tea bags she'd been using? Mixed with foxglove leaves and lily of the valley. Both highly toxic. Both easily obtained if you know where to look. She'd been slowly poisoning me for 6 months. Carefully documenting my decline. Building a case to take my children. And she almost got away with it. Derek came home to find police cars in our driveway. His mother in handcuffs. Me giving a statement. The social workers interviewing our kids. He looked at me. Really looked at me. And I saw the moment he finally believed. Oh my God, he whispered. You were right. You were right the whole time. That night, after the police left, after the social workers confirmed they'd be closing the case against me and opening one against Diane, after we put the kids to bed with extra hugs and reassurances, Derek broke down. I'm so sorry, he sobbed. Rachel, I'm so sorry. I didn't believe you. My own wife, and I didn't believe you. I chose my mother over you. I let her hurt you. I almost let her take our kids. I was angry. I'm not going to lie. Part of me wanted to rage at him. To make him feel as small and unheard as he'd made me feel. But another part of me understood. Diane had been manipulating him his entire life. Training him to never question her. To always defend her. To believe she could do no wrong. We need therapy, I said. Marriage counseling. You have to learn to put our family first. Not your mother. Us. Yes, he agreed immediately. Whatever you need. Whatever it takes. I'm so sorry. It wasn't enough. Not yet. But it was a start. Diane pleaded not guilty. Claimed she didn't know the tea was toxic. That she'd bought it from an online shop and trusted the ingredients were safe. That she never meant to hurt me. But the evidence was damning. The photos she'd taken, which her lawyer tried to use to show she was caring for the kids, actually proved she'd been documenting my decline. The CPS report she'd filed was filled with dates and times that matched exactly when she'd given me the tea. And then there were the search results on her computer. How to make someone appear incompetent. Poisonous plants that don't show up on drug tests. How to file for emergency custody of grandchildren. She'd been planning this for almost a year. Since before she started the poisoning. She'd been plotting to take my children from me. The jury found her guilty on all counts. The judge sentenced her to 8 years in prison. With credit for time served, she'd likely be out in 6 years before she could try to hurt my family again. It's been a year now. A full year since that day I swapped the teacups. Since the truth came out. Since our lives imploded and rebuilt. Derek and I are still in counseling. Some days are better than others. I still get angry sometimes. Still feel the sting of him not believing me. Of being so alone when I needed him most. But he's trying. Really trying. He cut contact with Diane completely. Testified against her at trial. Chose us, finally, over her. The kids are okay. We told them that Grandma Diane got sick and had to go away for a while. That sometimes adults make very bad choices. When they're older, we'll tell them the truth. But for now, they're just kids. They deserve to be kids. As for me, I'm still recovering. Not physically, the toxins left my system months ago. But mentally, emotionally. There's something about being systematically poisoned by a family member that messes with your head. Makes you question everything. Trust no one. I'm in therapy too. Working through it. Learning to feel safe in my own home again. Learning to drink tea again without panicking. Learning to trust my instincts. Because they were right all along. People ask me sometimes how I knew. How I figured it out. And honestly, I almost didn't. I almost just accepted that I was sick. Stressed. Anxious. A bad mother who couldn't handle her life. That's what Diane was counting on. That's what makes this kind of abuse so insidious. It's invisible. It's deniable. It makes you doubt yourself. But here's what I learned. Trust yourself. If something feels wrong, it probably is. If your body is telling you something is making you sick, listen. Even if everyone else says you're crazy. Even if the doctors can't find anything. Even if your own husband doesn't believe you. Trust yourself. I also learned that not all danger comes from strangers. Sometimes it comes from family. From the people who are supposed to love and protect you. And that's the hardest truth of all. We moved. 6 months ago, we sold the house. Too many bad memories. Too many afternoons spent sick on that couch. Too many cups of poison tea in that kitchen. We started fresh in a new town. New house. New routines. New boundaries. No unexpected visitors. No one makes me food or drinks except me or Derek. I check labels. I prepare everything myself. It might seem paranoid, but it keeps me sane. Emma's doing well in her new school. Lucas made the soccer team. Derek got a promotion at work. We're rebuilding. Piece by piece. Day by day. And me? I started a blog. Writing about my experience. About toxic family relationships. About trusting your gut. About fighting for your kids even when everyone tells you you're wrong. Hundreds of women have reached out to me. With similar stories. Different details, but the same core truth. Someone they trusted was hurting them. Making them sick. Trying to take their children. And no one believed them. Until they had proof. If you're reading this, or watching this, or hearing this story, and something resonates with you. If you have that nagging feeling that something's not right. If you're getting sicker and doctors can't figure out why. If someone seems a little too eager to step in and take over your life, your kids, your role. Pay attention to that feeling. Document everything. Take photos. Keep a journal. Track your symptoms. Note when they happen and what you consumed before. Get a second opinion. A third. A 10th if you have to. Test things. Trust but verify. That saying exists for a reason. And most importantly, don't let anyone make you doubt your own reality. You know your body. You know when something is wrong. Don't let anyone gaslight you into thinking you're crazy or paranoid or dramatic. I almost lost everything because I wanted to be polite. Because I wanted to keep the peace. Because I didn't want to seem ungrateful or suspicious. I almost lost my children because I drank tea to be nice. The day I swapped those teacups was the day I took my power back. The day I stopped being a victim and started being a mother protecting her cubs. The day I said no more. It wasn't easy. It wasn't pretty. It destroyed relationships and tore apart a family. Derek lost his mother. My kids lost their grandmother. We all lost the illusion of a happy, normal family. But we gained the truth. And we gained our freedom. Diane sits in prison now, probably still convinced she was right. That she was protecting those kids. That I'm the villain in this story. Let her think that. I know the truth. I know I'm a good mother. I know I fought for my kids. I know I trusted myself when no one else would. And I know that if I ever see that woman again, if she ever tries to come near my family when she gets out, I'll be ready. Because I'm not that confused, sick, scared woman anymore. I'm not the person who drinks poison tea to be polite. I'm the mother who swapped the cups, who exposed the truth, who protected her children at any cost. And that's exactly who I'll always be. So that's my story. That's what really happened when my mother-in-law tried to take my kids. When she poisoned me slowly, methodically, for 6 months. When she almost won. Almost. But I swapped the teacup. And that one decision, that one moment of clarity and courage, changed everything. Trust your gut. Protect your kids. And never, ever drink tea from someone who wants to replace you. That's all I've got. That's the truth. The whole messy, painful, terrifying truth. And if my story helps even one person recognize what's happening to them, if it saves even one family from what mine went through, then it was worth telling. Stay safe out there. Trust yourself. And remember, not all poison comes in a bottle with a skull on it. Sometimes it comes in a teacup, handed to you by someone who smiles while they destroy you.